So there are some sheets of paper and some pencils. If anybody wants to draw along with us, feel free. Um, you've got Patrick Ballesteros here. Do you want to give yourself a little intro?
So, thank you. Is it up there? So yeah, creator, illustrator. Hi. No, I'm just sorry. Patrick Ballesteros. I'm out vending with art out there. Illustrator, educator. So I've worked with everything from like Netflix, Disney TV, DC Comics, all that fun stuff. And then I do teach classes online and in person every once in a while. And I'm a local San Diego kid. Well, since the 7th grade.
And my name is Art Ebuen. I am a former animator on The Simpsons, Futurama, and I've recently moved on to do video production and have been making my own comics. So at the same time, I still draw whenever I can, and I'm here to have fun with Patrick to share some of that knowledge so that you could empower yourselves to go make some art.
It's like Ratatouille, but there's no rat, and we're not cooking. But anyone can draw, okay?
Yeah,
That's what we're here to
it's
say.
actually true. Like, isn't it like? I think you might have heard this. It's 1% talent and 99% blood and sweat.
There's a lot of talented people, though. But yes, if everyone's talent's the same, it's usually the person that works the hardest that'll elevate faster, because they're going to have the work ethic to keep going. Is what we're going to talk about while we draw. Don't worry, it's not a lecture. It'll be fun.
It will be a lecture. Yeah.
It is a lecture. I'm trying to sugarcoat it. Come on, man. Okay. Oh, let me move this in thing. All right, so you will have to take notes, writing, all in cursive. I'm just kidding. I don't know if they teach cursive anymore, do they?
They just
They
started.
do?
They just started again.
Yes. Everything has to be in cursive for you. All right. Everyone else, do whatever you want, but I'm going to look at your work later. Yes, you do. Okay. We're going to start how every designer starts, but they may not break it down this way because it's all intuitive. So when you see people draw and they just go at it and it's awesome, it's because they've done it so many times, it's an autopilot. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't go through each step, you just know what to do. Or later, if you are driving and you drive a car, you're not thinking about each thing, you just drive, right? So with drawing, it's like breathing for me, but before breathing, not breeding, sorry. That's bad.
I mean,
Sorry, it's making clear because it's being recorded. Okay. There's 3 things that help me start any design, and this is what I always tell my students. The first thing is shape. Okay. So what are the 3 basic shapes that you grew up as a kid with? Circle. What else? Someone else. Square. Those 2 people. Triangle. Okay. No. That's later in life. Okay, so these 3 shapes we kind of start with, and that's kind of what I want you to start with first, is just thinking about what shape I'm going to use for a character. But we need more than that, right? To give it a little bit more life, what can we add to that? Well, the next thing I like to add is something that we call an archetype, okay? And that's just a fancy word with, in the story, in whatever it is you're designing, what is that character? Is it a good guy? Is it a bad guy? But you can even break it up from there. Is it the rebel? Is it the comedic relief?
the sassy artist.
The sassy artist? Or even just think about games. There is the fast one. There's the heavy that carries everything and has the biggest weapon or whatever. But those are things you could break it up next to kind of help you start to figure out what it is that I want to draw. Because the thing that helps you to avoid drawing the same thing over and over again is what you bring to the table. And so when I tell people, I don't mind if you draw anime, but can you change that character a little bit other than the hair? Do you know how to play around with proportions? Those are things we're going to talk about today, and it starts with these things. Now, once we have that, the last thing I like to think about is tool. What are we going to give them, right? What is their tool? What is maybe their special weapon or the thing that they have? Think about K-pop demon hunters. I know most of you are familiar, except you two. You're not familiar back there. Each girl
What's
had a different
K-pop?
weapon. K-pop demon hunters, Netflix.
Just,
Google it.
Just
you'll
K-pop.
See.
What is that?
K-pop is Korean pop culture. Like there's P-pop, Pinoy pop culture too. Just letting you know, but it sounds weird. P-pop. Anyway, so you want to think of tools. So what could that be? It could be anything from a sword to a broomstick. And where can we get from that? Like a sword could be Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. Broomstick could be Harry Potter, the broom that they could use. But do you see how each one has a different meaning? And you can use it in different ways. A broomstick could even be a weapon. But do you see how it changes the dynamic of a character from a sword to a broomstick to it could even be a shield, or it could even be a bullhorn, whatever you want it to be. But these are combinations. You see, now I have 3 categories that I can kind of pick and choose from to help me come up with, okay, what's a fun character that we can get out of this? So that's the start for anything. When you think of any type of animated movie, it starts this way. So when you're thinking about the movie Up, and we're talking about shape, there are those shapes. Okay? The square brick, that's Mr. Fredrickson, right? The circle bubbly, that's good afternoon. It's Russell. And this shape that feels like a balloon, that's basically Ellie. She's the thing, the air. That's why they have so many balloons in it, because she is the life of the story, even though, no spoilers, stuff happens at the beginning.
Grape soda?
But do you see how that works? Now, if you flip that upside down, especially for Ellie, if we change that shape and fly, go away, and we made it more like that, do you see how it changes it? Now Ellie looks a little bit sadder. Just because we changed that shape. Exact same shape, but I'm changing it. You see? So those are some of the initial things you kind of want to think about. And it becomes more and more intuitive, meaning you get used to it as you do more and more of it. But I want to introduce you to these concepts because when you go home later and you're looking at characters, think about it. Think about the villains. Think about the good guys. Like if you were watching anything like a lot of Disney animated commercials, to make the bad guy, it's like everyone's friendly uncle, right? And then all of a sudden they just do this. And it's like, oh, that's the villain of the story. Just the long goatee, the mustache, and the brows that kind of come down all villainously, right? So that's kind of like a stereotype, but an archetype at the same time. There's things you got to balance there.
I saw that guy walking around.
Evil uncle. Don't sell him anything. Okay. All right. So I want to have you guys choose stuff, and it could be from the shape here, from the archetype, the tools. You could be whatever you want it to be, but you let me know. Okay, what shape do you want to start off with for this first character?
Somebody call it out. Somebody call it.
Triangle. Okay.
Thanks, Anonymous.
So what type of archetype should this triangle be?
Ooh, sassy. I heard sassy.
Okay. And what type of tool do we want to give the sassy character? Magic wand? Sure. A magic what? Magical, well, that's already kind of leaning towards that.
Magic toothbrush?
Magic toothbrush. That I like that. Magic toothbrush. Like, no cavities. Haha. So, you could start a bunch of different ways. You could start with just the head, if you're just comfortable drawing heads, or you could even start thinking about it as how does that triangle kind of fit the whole body, right? There is a little bit of figure drawing that is important to anything, but I'm just going to try to break it down as simple so you guys can follow along. So let's just start kind of with the head. And when I'm thinking about these things, the first thing I think about is proportion, right? So if you're thinking about normal people, normal heads, it's like there's the eye line, right? The nose and the mouth. So basically, if you have a circle, the top part of it, that's kind of where the eye line is going to be. The center part kind of makes this triangle where the nose is going to be. And the mouth is a little bit below that. There's actual proportions and stuff to break it down.
Can you do the breakdown of like the thirds of those horizontal lines?
Yeah.
That determine where the nose and the mouth
I hate that stuff. Okay, no, it's important.
You do it naturally.
Nah.
So we want to see it,
All right.
in your brain.
So if you wanted to break it down, this is traditional, and I'll show you how to break the rules. Start with a circle, and then just put a straight line down to it, and I'll get to the straight line in a second, okay? That circle, just cut it in half. That's going to be the eye line for the most part, right? The eyes, don't do anything crazy. Honestly, you could just put 2 dots. And I usually put it somewhere kind of in between this halfway zone right here, right? The nose, we can get into all that stuff later, but honestly, just put a dash.
And that looks at the halfway point.
It's about halfway in this bottom part of the circle, okay? The mouth goes pretty close to the bottom because what you're adding next is the jaw, right? And all the jaw is 3 lines that kind of go narrow in. It's like a triangle with a flat bottom. That's the pretty generic stuff. That's just to get you started, okay? So I have these proportions here, but these are the proportions that you want to play around with. So if I have a character right here and I do the same thing, you know, I would probably break it up into thirds also, right? These same thirds. But this is what I want to play around with. I actually want to move the eye line a little bit. I'll keep the eye line right here, but I'm going to move the nose line a little bit lower and the mouth a little bit lower, okay? So whenever I start anything, I just keep it that simple. Dots, nose, dashes. It's almost like just a
Note.
basically you're drawing emojis, right? So here's where you start to play around with them, okay? Now, looking at it, I can't just keep it triangular. I have to put some head shape in there. So when I'm drawing those things, I can do that with hair. I could do that with props to make it feel like it's triangular. So if this is more of like a sassy, witchy type character, you could be stereotypical and put like the witch's hat. But I like to kind of play around with hair a little bit more. So with the eyes, I have ways to kind of play around with the eyes. I can make it a little bit more square. I can make it more rounded. Or I can have it with a little bit more of like a tapered curve going into it. Okay? And so this one I'll do more of like a little bit of that tapered curve kind of going into it. So all I'm doing here is it doesn't look like much. It looks like they're almost cross-eyed. But when you start to add these little notes to kind of expand on it and give little details like, oh, there's the brows, there's the eyes, it starts to take on a little bit of that shape, right? Now it still feels a little odd, like how are we going to fit the rest of it in there? I'm going to use the hair to kind of lead the viewer's eye, kind of create that triangular shape without saying that it's a solid triangle. So I'm going to soften that up a little bit with the hair. Okay? So this is where I need to adjust the face shape. I'm not having it this wide at the bottom because then it'll just look like I distorted it a lot. So what I'm going to do is actually have it taper in a little bit more, narrow. So right around the eyes and the cheekbone, I'm going to have it come down a little bit more narrow and then round it off at the bottom. So do you see how that fits now, right? Because if I kept that head the same like this, it would just look like a triangle with a happy face, and that wouldn't work. But I'm keeping that triangle shape with the hair and filling in behind it like that's the back of the hair behind the character. Then I can make it more of like a pointed nose, longer, and then add the lips to it. And you can, and it's almost like this is adult Mira if you watch K-pop Demon Hunter. I'm just going back to it because I just watched it because I finished a bunch of prints for it. But do you see how we evolve it, right? So again, there is technical stuff you have to learn, right? But creep up on it. Start simple, and then you can really get more and more of these complex characters in there, okay? If there was a wand, then yeah, the character would have a wand in there, full body character. But now that I've explained the principles, let's start with something more boxy, okay? And I want you to go ahead and draw along too. So what we're gonna do really quick is I want you to start with a box. I want you to make this kind of like the good guy, friendly, lovable, huggable giant. Think Sully from Monsters, Inc. And the prop, we may get to it, we may not get to it, but for the prop, let's say it has a hammer. Okay? Just to kind of give you an idea of that. So just start off with the box first. And this is what I want you to decide. First, put that center line down like we did before. But I want you to, where is that eye line going to go? It doesn't have to go halfway. It could go a little bit higher. It could be a little bit lower. Okay? And I'll do 3 different scenarios for you. So let's put one a little bit higher. One a little bit in the middle. And one a little bit lower. Okay? So whatever you're doing, just think it's the friendly giant. So you don't want the eyes to kind of come down and frown like that ever, because then it's going to look like really mean. Just think, if you've watched Inside Out, think of the angry emotion. It always just looked like it was angry. Okay? If you're going to put the eyes in there, like I did before, just start off with 2 dots. I wouldn't put them too far out, because then it's just going to look really awkward. I would still kind of put it in the middle, but the thing is, the shape of the eye is going to be up to you. The upper and the lower lid that makes the white of the eye, that's going to be up to you. So for that, this fly is like,
It's very interesting.
it's interested, yeah. So for that, just think about, are you going to curve it? Are you going to box it out? It's totally up to you what you want to do. I'm going to curve it a little bit. So when I make eyes, this is more of a simplified version. It's just a straight and a curve. And you hear that a lot in drawing, straights and curves, because that's used to balance things out, to make it feel dynamic, right? Where is the nose going to be? Do you want to put it high? Do you want to put it low? For this character, I want it to be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to make it wide and short, not too far down. And a little bit wide. So it's going to kind of, the nostrils are going to be right on the edge of the eyes right there. Okay? And again, noses take different shapes and forms. You could do whatever you want to it. Square it out, round it out. It's up to you. For this one, again, I'm just doing a straight and a curve. And then I'll put 2 dashes for where the nostrils are. Okay? You can keep it boxy, but what I would suggest is you can make the chin a little bit lower, or you can have it go to the bottom of your box. Just right here at the eye line, I would round it off a little bit on the sides. Okay? And then for the mouth, my suggestion, you can have it low or a little bit close to the nose, but I want it to feel like this friendly, like, giant. Like, so when you hear the voice, it goes, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And that's part of designing, is think about what this character says. Think about how they sound. So when I'm drawing that, it's going to be a straight line, but it's slightly going to curve up. So just watch. It's going to start right here, kind of the corner of this eye, and then curve it up a little bit with a little bit of that smile coming up. Does you see how that character, where he looks like he's going to talk and say, "Hey guys, how's it going?" I can even have his mouth open just a little bit. Okay? So put brows, of course. It could be, I wouldn't make them too thin. For a character like this, I'd put it pretty close to the eyes and box them off a little bit more. Okay? And then ears, just think of them as, it's not a profile view, because they always say question mark in a profile view. I would always think of like a, kind of like a hook, just to keep this simple. Okay? And usually I start at the eye line and end somewhere right around the mouth area. Okay? And then if you're going to add any type of hair to it, you always want to think about, even though this is boxy, he still has a top to his head. So when I'm designing hair, I'm always thinking about what's underneath it. So let's just say we do give this character a flat top. I want to extend it out just a little bit and show a little bit of that widow's peak right here where the hair is coming down. Okay? So it's almost like Street Fighter Guile without the tall hair. This is Guile's younger brother, Gil. All right. And this is the same type of approach you could use when you're doing like figure construction as well.
Are we in time? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure you do. So when you're designing characters, it doesn't have to be complicated. You could start with these shapes and add to it. So thinking about those three shapes that we were thinking about earlier and using earlier, I could start adding that using this base as the body. And how I usually tell people to start, if you're putting arms and legs, just think of things that taper. And taper just means they narrow as they go down. So if I'm adding arms, first I want to establish the head. Maybe the head's right here. Maybe the arms start at the edge right here and they just taper down this way and this way. And the legs, maybe I'll make them shorter, but they taper down this way and this way. So it looks like this weird Minecraft Roblox type character, but it's a start, right? And that's the thing that, as an artist, it's just starting and adding to it. But it can feel very overwhelming at first. So just break it down simple, and then when people start adding the muscles and things like that, what happens is all your drawings start looking like this muscle character or this life drawing character you learn in class. So what softens it is being able just to say, like, okay, well, Patrick started me to start off with a block, but what if I started to do something different with the block and have it maybe smooth out and come in a little bit more like this? What if the head was a little bit taller, like this? What if the legs were a little bit longer and the arms go all the way down? Okay? Now, that looks very different. And so when you start adding and combining those things and changing it up, you can come up with characters that feel very, very different from something that you've drawn before. And I think when you learn to draw, and a lot of people are learning from books and online tutorials, or especially shows that they watch, anime and things like that, it becomes formulaic because you see kind of the same characters over and over again. So what I want you to take away from this is, how do I get away from doing that and start drawing these different characters that have a little bit of life to them?
I think you're approaching kind of the design of it as well.
Yeah.
Not just the character, but the design of the character.
There's a lot to think about, but I just want to show also, just when you're not thinking about those things, how you can start to push it more and more.
Yep.
Exactly what you were saying. So I don't know, this is like a guitar hero with knives, cowboy boots, and I'll just start adding more and more to it. Superhero from the Philippines. Okay. Now, there's a lot going on there, and I went really fast. But what I wanted to show you is it all started from this stuff. From this stuff. The part that you don't see are all the classes that I took, all the designs I've done. But I want you to see that it starts from all of this, right? And you can do it. To get to this part, that's where everything comes together, like brushing your teeth, right? All the stuff that's very intuitive. Questions? Does that help? Is that okay? I don't know. It's very quiet. I hope you guys are doing okay.
Do a little demo?
Huh?
Want me to do a little demo?
Yeah, go ahead. Now, Art's going to do all of that faster. And I'm going to ask him questions while he does it.
We'll give Patrick a little breather here.
All right. Now, taking after what Patrick was just talking about, we'll do one of my favorite characters, Krusty the Clown. His archetype is he is hilariously angry at all times. He's kind of slovenly. And so going back to some stuff that Patrick's talking about, he's made of this thumb-looking thing for a head. I don't know if you can see that. And this cone.
Not too dark?
Ah, you can see that.
Good.
And then this circle. Guess what? That's Homer too. That's Homer or Krusty. Homer has no hair. Krusty has hair. So with that, we're going to go back into some of the figure drawing part of it. But also, what Patrick was talking about earlier is the acting behind it. So he's going to be kind of slouchy, He's kind of slouchy, right? You see this? See, in my head, I see this full circle. Like Patrick was saying, you do this so much that you don't draw it fully. But in my head, I see this cylinder, this circle, sphere, this cone, this head, and this is the center, right? And this gesture is him kind of leaning into being an angry clown. Because that's our Krusty the Clown. Now, I like to kind of just land where his hand's going to be and then connect it from there.
So what Art was saying earlier, how it's Homer and Krusty, they do that on purpose because someone has to keep drawing the in-between. Or they have to draw the characters so many times, right? So it being the same model but just acting differently, he subtly just slouch it, it's a different character, it makes it easier to reproduce and to draw, so that when I send it to a team that has to keep doing what I do here, I send them that. That's the quiche pose, that's the key image, show them how it breaks down, send it overseas, and they get a packet, which is called a model packet. So they are taught from that model packet, oh, this is how I draw this character, this is how I draw that character, so that they can do it in different views, different angles, and make sure that it's consistent from one person to the other.
So going back into keeping the flow of it, center line, the volume, thinking about all that stuff, and just staying rough. You already see that it's an angry Krusty pointing. And what's his weapon? Oh, a cigar. That's his thing. So going with the center line here, his eyes would be somewhere around here. And the difference between Homer and Krusty is Homer, his nose is longer. Krusty's is just a circle. They both have similar mouths. It's this hamburger kind of thing around their mouth. But let's make him really angry. He is losing his mind. He is, let's get his tongue in there. He is upset. There's his muzzle. He's got bags underneath his eyes. His cigar is falling out of his mouth while he's screaming.
You don't ever have to think a drawing has to be perfect, right? Get your first idea out, even if it's scratching. That's the first thing you want to do, is just get it out of your head. Get it on the page. You can always refine it after the fact, and that's what's going on here. There's that refinement happening. Now there's less refinement because of the proficiency at which art draws at, but when you're first starting, that's the thing you have to get over, is that it doesn't look like what's in my head. It gets closer and closer to it, but the first time you do these things, it's gonna be ugly, really. I'd say another two initials after that, but just ugly. I won't say what the other initials are, but you get it.
And even after this, when Patrick and I were in animation, we would take this, lay another sheet on top, or take our kneaded eraser and rub it down, and actually go with a darker pencil on top to further clean it up. And this might actually be way off model, but at least I know the feeling when it's done, and I'll do another layer on top that's the same gesture, same actions and everything, but much more on model.
I was horrible at drawing on model. Horrible. The acting was there, but I was horrible staying on model. Because Simpsons, I would think I would have had more fun in The Simpsons, but I worked on King of the Hill. Ronald, your table mate next door.
My old roommate.
Your old roommate. He was way better at, he was the King of the Hill. But when I was on, I was like, my gosh, these characters are so ugly, I can't draw them. But that was the thing. That was they had a lot of charm, and you didn't watch it because it was great, like animation, but the stories and acting were
Such
cool,
good writing.
and someone had to draw that, someone had to emote that, and that's where it starts. What does that shape say? How do I make this a happy shape versus a sad shape, right? And it all starts with a lot of the things that we started with. Then you think about construction, you think about all that. But if you're thinking about that construction the whole time, that's when it becomes too mechanical.
It gets real stiff.
Real stiff, no feeling behind it, and the character falls very flat. Okay?
So if you look at this, that almost looks like Homer, doesn't it? it's just his nose is rounder, and you just make him crusty. Now it's crusty just because of the hair. And you try to emphasize and complement the gesture of making his hair much more animated than normal, just because it's going with his anger.
And right now, Art is exerting a lot of pressure on the pencil so that you guys can see. I was using a Sharpie because it's pretty dark, but usually it's even lighter than that, and then you can layer a lot more, just so you know, okay? It doesn't always have, and the rule is light to dark, because if you go dark right away, you can never lighten that up.
Yep.
Even if you try to erase it, it's just gonna stay really dark on there, okay?
So a lot of those things that Patrick was talking about was applied here. You know, I start off with a circle here, now I gotta know where his hand's gonna go. His pointed finger, because he's upset. This hand was a box, because I know where the back of the hand is now. Draw those fingers out, just rough them in. This was a cylinder, now I'm getting that elbow in. And then I just further complement the foreshortening of that. Now it's a sleeve. Now it's a sleeve.
A figure drawing class isn't going to teach you how to draw Krusty the Clown, right? They're going to teach you proportions. They're going to teach you breaking down things and understanding how to turn things in perspective. And that's very important. But you also need to realize that draw your own characters, or push it a little bit more once you understand the rules, so that it doesn't always feel the same. And that's where you take the mechanics of what we're doing here and you push it. Because see, that's Krusty the Clown, but there's solid figure drawing behind there that we're not really talking about, but it's implied.
And the importance of figure drawing is, so you can go out and draw and study from like a tree. No one knows what a tree looks like. It's gonna look like a cool tree no matter how wrong it might be. But all of us know how the human body works and looks, especially our hands, right? Hands are super tough. So if you go to a figure drawing class and you do a drawing and it might be a little bit off, someone who wasn't in the room will know it's off, because we know how the human body works and looks. So it's really important to learn that specific skill. Till this day, one of my biggest mentors in animation, who's been on The Simpsons since episode 2 or season 2, it's on season 35, he still does figure drawing classes after work every once in a while, because it's a skill you got to keep sharp. If Paul was here, he'd look at this and talk about how off model this is. But anyways, I'll let Patrick get back on now that he has taken a little bit of break.
Paul was the one who animated the Indiana Jones scene, right? He was the one that boarded that one.
He has animated so many. I can't even.
But I think that was the iconic one he did. That
Yeah.
one was like.
He's done so many. He's amazing.
All right. So let me show you how you could take those things and draw other things other than characters. All right. So if I start off with the box. Right? So it's not just a box anymore. Now it's a cube. Now we're talking about 3D space. Everything I was doing was flat, right? But when you want to turn more 3D, that's when you have to think about terms. It's not a triangle, it's a prism or a cone. It's not a square, it's a cube. It's not a circle, but now it's going to be a sphere. Now you start to give something that has more of a 3D type of feel. So if I have this right here, I could turn that into a head, but then you could also start to turn that into a fish just by building it out. Right? From that, you could turn that into a vehicle. So the main thing that's changing here isn't my approach. It's just the proportions and things that I'm adding to it. The details that make it look like a car versus make it look like a fish. But all the things are starting the same. Okay? You could take Krusty's cigar shape turn that into a plane. Okay? And these are the things that a lot of people neglect. Like, you want to draw characters and stuff, but the characters, one, they need clothes. They're not going to walk around naked like in life drawing class. Well, some do, but that's a different type of animation. Sorry. And also, a lot of people don't know how to draw props. They don't know how to draw vehicles or things like that. And a lot of the cool stuff happens in scenes, happens in places and things like that. And I used to hate drawing these stuff, but once it's demystified and how you approach things and how you break things down.
They actually help kind of ground where the characters are in your scene.
Pretty much.
And help complement like the dynamic angle you're going for, or the more melancholy kind of angle you're going for. It's all very complementary.
So really quickly, this could be like the B version of Iron Giant, Iron Big Guy.
It's Steel Giant.
Yes.
Steel Big Guy.
Metal Giant. There we go. This is Metal Giant. But you see, then you could just start thinking about, okay, how are those, like the hand that Art was talking about. There's that right there, and then there's a little character standing there for scale. But that's how all these things start. If you actually see storyboards and drawings, they're really quick and dirty. Like, a lot of them even just start off with a box, and then all they'll do is just like, oh, you're looking up at them in the sky, and they'll put this so that you could see that they're looking up in the sky, and then they just put a person looking up. And then they're pointing is because Superman just flew over them. Okay? Now, how are you able to do these things so fast and so quickly is by, if I'm looking at a box, all I have to do now is like, how does that box look when I tilt it up? How does that box look when I tilt it down? And then once you start seeing that stuff, you could turn that into whatever you want it to. So this could actually be that face of that person looking down because they just stepped on an alien. Oh no. Or this could be that fish in space swimming up towards the light or trying to get away from that shark. It's Nemo's cousin. Trying not to get eaten. Demo. I don't know.
Emo.
Yes, emo. Wait.
Why is it pooping?
Emo is just like,
Is that speed bubbles or is that?
it's a little bit of both because
Oh.
emo doesn't care.
He was in a hurry.
But you see how you could change those things just by understanding. It's just like taking a block and moving it around. Now, you do want to get to the fun stuff, right? The fun stuff's important. But learning how to simplify things is really, really important. So if you're thinking about like a tree, if I'm thinking about a tree, I always think about it in three shapes, either like triangle, square, circle, lollipop tree, right? So I'm not going to sit there and draw all the leaves. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll break it up into smaller ovals to represent like the little bunches of parts of the tree that you see, the dark and the light. And I'll show you how to quickly turn this into a tree. I'll make the little bit of that foliage going around that, the silhouette. And then in these little sections, I'm thinking about lighting, and this gets a little advanced, but I'll show you how this turns into a tree quickly. Using these simple spheres, that's kind of like where I'm lighting it. The lighting's hitting, so there's the shadow on this side of each of those spheres. And then from there, now it's just creating the illusion that there's light and shadow. Yep. And I'll end it here. But you see how you could start off very simply and add some of those basic principles, and you can create a quick forest just by doing that, and any type of tree you want. So everything that we're doing here, this is why, yes, you're drawing along, but also we want to show you how to kind of push your drawing when you go into this stuff. Like, there's a lot of fundamentals that we can't cover in just an hour, but it's showing you once you start thinking about the things that you want to kind of pursue, it all comes back to the same stuff. It just depends on the details and the things that you want to add to it to make it look like a plane, a car, Krusty the Clown, storyboards, Steel Giant, Emo the fish, whatever you want it to be.
It's that growth mentality. You know, we always have room to grow, always have room to get better. Always have room to learn. Now, actually, we'd like to look at the crowd and see if anybody has any questions for either one of us. Anybody have anything in mind?
What's your favorite shape to draw? You have to pick one.
The question was, what's your favorite shape to draw if you had to pick one?
For me, I think a lot of my characters kind of start with us. I'm killing so many trees right now.
I'd like to say spherish.
Yeah, spherish. I kind of like that shape right there, because then it could be for the body or the head or whatnot. You could totally play around with it. So I could start something like that, or I could totally change it. But it's just a fun shape that I can kind of bend and move and mold.
Yeah, that could have easily been like the beanbag. I'm sorry, the flour sack
It
that
is
we.
the flour sack
The
shape.
flour sack animation
Yeah,
look at my buddy Joe over there. The animation of the flour sack is like a rite of passage when you're first learning to animate. Is the sack of flour that kind of crawls across. But you learn that contrast, which Patrick has there on screen, is the curved stomach area versus the straight back. It's that contrast to help kind of give shows the dynamic kind of contrast with the character. Any other questions?
What kind of like drawing habits kind of stuck to you, good, bad, or neutral, like throughout your early lifetime as an artist?
The question was, what kind of drawing habits do we have, both good and bad? Here's one that I think is important: is just keep drawing, because the kind of the joke is is it a 10,000 bad drawings in you? Hurry up and get them out. Here's the thing: I don't think they all come out at once. The 10,000 bad drawings are spread out throughout your whole life, and they'll keep popping up. And that's why you got to give yourself the grace to sketch and redo and sketch and redo. Just like when you're doing comps, just like when you're doing thumbnails, you're sitting there sketching, and sketching is just notes. And so while you're coming up with notes, trying to come up with that one drawing, it might not work the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time until you find the space and find the comp or the acting that you're looking for that's in that feeling. And it might happen the first time, might not happen. Give yourself that room to continuously try until you get to where you want to. That's the way I approach writing too. Like, you can't write a story beginning to end in a row. I guess you can, if it's going to be coherent or make sense or be a good story to read, who knows. But same with writing. You could sketch with writing. You could start with a paragraph. You could start with a piece of dialogue. Give yourself room and the grace to sketch. And that's what I try to tell myself. Do as I do, not as I say, because I do get angry when I'm drawing at myself when I'm trying to figure something out. So, give yourself grace. But go as much as you can. Patrick?
Being consistent. Drawing a little bit each day. It doesn't always have to be like 3 hours or 4 hours, but just a little bit each day. Keep a sketchbook with you wherever you go, even if it's small, just something on you. Treat it like your phone. You feel naked without it. That's important. A bad habit is staying up trying to make the drawing look good. If it's late at night, call it a night. Wake up with fresh eyes, because 9 times out of 10 I stay up drawing something, and then the next morning I scratch it all and I redraw it. And I should have just stopped already. So usually I'll stop drawing something like at 9 or 10 because I know my brain's dead. I'm just going to wake up early and attack it again. And I would say almost 10 out of 10 times it works the best. Do I always do that? No. I don't listen to myself.
Do as I say, not as I do.
And sometimes I was like, no, I have to finish it tonight. And then when I finish it, I'm like, this is really bad. Okay, I'm going to sleep.
I mean, going back to the consistency thing, I believe the phrase is something, do it 27 times before it becomes a habit. So kind of like, making healthier choices or working out or whatever, until it becomes a habit, it's going to feel like a chore. And when it becomes part of your normal habit, then it becomes fun. When you get through the tough stuff and break through, then it becomes really fun. But you got to get through those through consistency.
I agree.
Questions? Joseph.
How do you guys work your way out of a creative
Okay, so mine is both writing and drawing. A block for me usually feels like frustration because it means I don't know enough about it. Make sense? So if I'm trying to write about something and I can't figure it out, it's because I don't feel comfortable with it. Same with drawing. So if I can't figure out how to draw something because I haven't practiced drawing that thing enough, which means I need to go back and do some research and do it in different angles, see how other people have drawn that thing, then it becomes less of a frustration because I've practiced it. So it's not usually a block. It's a reminder that, oh, shoot, I'm not comfortable with that thing because I haven't gotten to know that thing enough. That's just me, though. How about you, Patrick?
I get angry, and that's valid. You get frustrated.
And then do you take it on family?
When I ask them what did they think, and they give me an honest reply.
The wrong reply?
Yeah, I really get angry. But then I change it. Like the K-pop Demon Hunters jeepney prints that I did. My son said there's something wrong with Abby's eyes to fix it. And then my wife said, fix the background color. That's all they give me. And I'm like, I rage. I do a Hulk rage. And then I step back and go like, God dang it.
They're right.
And then I sit there and I change it and I'm like, yeah, that looks way better. And I show it to them again and this is what I get. Oh, cool.
It's the I told you.
It is. And so they said, you can't get mad. And I told them that's part of the process. I get mad, you're right, and I fix it, and it looks good.
You know when you turn around, they're high-fiving and laughing, right?
They are. They are. But no, that and what I do is go outside, walk, things to like get those natural endorphins. It helps. It sounds silly and people say it all the time, but for me, I go to my local coffee shop and I sit there and I draw, or I don't even draw. I just end up talking to friends there and it makes me feel way better. And then when I go back to the drawing, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I have more energy now. Now I feel refreshed. Caffeine helps me, so.
Questions? What's up, kiddo?
I was a little late, so I don't know if I can answer this, but what kind of shading do you do?
What kind of shading? Training?
Or shading?
Shading.
What kind of shading do we do?
To the left.
It is mine is bottom left. Yeah. I tend to put light source in the top right most of the
See,
time.
I thought I was joking.
Wait. But my new favorite, which everybody's doing, is hair light backlighting. You know, it's really cool. Look at some Avatar stuff. It's very the word's overused is cinematic. It just means that everything's dark in front and the rim lit with a little bit of fill. Yeah. Huh?
I like to do a lot of hatching in my work when I'm doing pen and ink stuff. So if I have like the basic structure down of something, then I'm thinking where the light source is at. But I'm always thinking about simple shapes when I'm lighting because it's easier to think about lighting. So if you have that, top right lighting or top left lighting coming down, I know that this part is in light, this part is in shadow. So there are things you want to know about the face, like different planes, what's in light, what's in shadow. But when I hatch, I try to sneak up on it and be very light, but be very organized with my hatching and controlled. So you see me drawing fast a lot of the times, but when it gets to important areas that I know the viewer is going to look at, I slow down a whole lot so that I can focus and control things and be mindful of that so that it doesn't get messy or too all over the place. So you see when I'm hatching, the type of hatching that I do for a lot of these things when I'm more traditional and a lot of the pen and ink work is very, very controlled in regards to my line weight. That means the pressure that I put down, as well as the line frequency, meaning the spacing between the lines. There's a lot of old school illustrators that I was very much influenced by that do this type of hatching, and even modern day ones too. In a lot of comics, you'll see this. A lot of artists do really darks a lot more, but I still like to see kind of the hatch work that you kind of see in some of this stuff, like what I'm doing here. And it tends to make something feel stylized, have almost like a mixed feel of like being stylized and realistic at the same time. So if this is stuff that interests you, it's even as simple as just starting with a bar and practicing, can I control these lines? Can I control the spacing? And can I make sure that I can make it feel like it's slowly, I can control how the lines spread out more and more and more. to make it go from dark to light. So you see how this feels very dark and this feels very light just by the amount of spacing? That's what you want to think about and control, and that's what's going to make things roll and have that lifelike feel.
It feels like a quarter kind of on the side. Can I jump in there real quick?
No.
So it's just technique at this point, right? Same thing Patrick was talking about. I tend to like to use like a longer piece of lead like this so that I can get both a sharp line or a flat tone easy, right? So like if this was an arm, deltoid, and I can get in there with a flat tone and get some of that deltoid in there. Then I can come in and punch that up a bit more. So similar thinking that Patrick, the light's coming here and this is underneath, but I'm using a flat tone and then going darker where it needs to be darker, but then lighting it as I go. But instead of using straight lines, I'm using tone. That's what I like to do. Patrick likes to use lines. One is right. No, we're both right. We're both right. Everybody's special, like Dash. Who else has got a question? Let's see. Do we need to do? We got 5 minutes before the raffle thingy, or should we do that now?
You have 9 minutes left.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do for now.
Okay. Question? Anybody else got questions for either one of us?
Do the racket.
How long did it take for you to develop your personal style?
Oh, well, I've been picking these outfits myself.
See, your kids are here, mine is.
Actually,
You get them.
I got a note from Kay saying, like picking. What it is for me is style is your choice in how you make your marks, and so it's one of those like I had to copy what I liked first for a long time, which for me is the Riley method, something that Joe and I both learned for a little bit out in LA. It's a very painterly approach, and you see that, right? I'm treating the graphite like paint, and that helps me see things that way. But I could use that with like a watered down kind of ink as well. So, and then I started developing kind of like combining that with my kind of simplified animation style as well. So then that's how I started finding my style. What that is finding how I like to make decisions on paper, which is I don't like getting too detailed, and I like to go kind of shorthand, but I do like a little bit more kind of reality to it. So that's kind of how my style has developed, and that happened over time. It's just you see a lot of people who are influenced by like a Jim Lee, and then over time they've developed their own style because they're not using their reference, they're doing their own thing, and then their own personality shows up. But that just comes with what we were talking about earlier. Get those 10,000 drawings out of your body, consistency, keep doing it, and you'll start finding your own way of kind of making your own mark. But copying is not copying because it's bad. Copying is actually studying. So study somebody's work you really love. We do it all the time. We go to museums and copy a painting. We're doing a study of how that light hits that corner the way it does. And so you'll find your style in time. It's just that consistency.
Make your own mood board of inspiration, things that inspire you. So even like Pinterest or something, but I wouldn't say don't use Pinterest is because you can get sidetracked. Gather all of your images that you love of different artists and stuff, download it and arrange it on like a mood board by like, and I would say enlarge or decrease the size of the ones, like increase the size of the ones that like, I love this, and decrease the size of the ones like, oh, this one's okay, I like it, but not as much. So that when you're looking at that mood board, you could see like, oh, these big ones, they have all this in common. These small ones, I like them, but not as much, but these are some things I like about them. So then it's like you're deciphering your code of style. Like, what is my style? And then you'll slowly be able to like, okay, let me look at this artist. Now I'll go, who did this artist learn from? What were their influences? And I can backtrack so I don't look like a carbon copy of them, but I'm being more influenced by how they trained, and that'll help my own style.
We got 5 minutes. Should we do the raffle, or should we take one more question? Okay.
If there's any other questions? I think
Yeah,
everyone's
we got
okay.
5 more minutes. Any more questions? We got about 5 more minutes.
What's the quickest you've had to draw for like any animation or show?
Was the what? Quickest what?
What's the quickest thing you had to do? Okay, one of the worst things I had to do, I spent 3 days on a scene. Until this day when I watch it, it was like 1.2 seconds on screen. It took me 3 full, like 12-hour days of drawing a sequence of scenes where Homer is about to run over an alligator with his what is like a hoverboat kind of thing out in Louisiana. There's just so many different action scenes that took a lot. Took me 3.5 full days of whatever, just to see go by. And can you imagine if it gets cut, Joe? Like that happens. You do a scene and it gets cut. Because Joe worked in animation too. He knows. It's just you work as hard as you can, and does it help tell the story even if you spend a lot of time? Who knows? But yeah, for me, the quickest I had to draw a scene, I don't know. Whatever the deadline is, you just try to knock it out.
Yeah, it wasn't a scene. It was more of an illustration. I did concert work for 2 bands, AJR and Dead and Company. They gave me a week, which sounds like a lot, but you have to take in consideration concept, approvals, revisions, final. And they needed it to go to print right away because the concert was like in 2 weeks, so I had to get it done quick. Luckily, my art directors were cool with me, and I was able to go on my first go. But that's because I'm seasoned. I can do this. Like, I don't like doing that because it sucks. And this is the one thing I'll say is, if you give someone a deadline, how fast you could do it, always add at least 2 or 3 days to what you think you could, like the fastest you could do it. Because if you always deliver that short, they're gonna expect that.
Yep.
Always. But if you say I can do it in a week and you turn it into them, I actually finished up a little early for this project here, 4 days, it makes you look better. It's better to be early than to be late.
Customer service is number one as an artist, working as independent artist. Always under promise, over deliver. Always in negotiations, ask for more than you want because it's always going to come down. So don't undercut yourself because they're going to cut it down. So that was a huge tangent from how fast can you draw something.
That's your fault, not mine.
I was just curious, do you do a lot of your work at home remotely, or do you have to actually be in the studio?
We're both independent. Yeah, both remote, independent.
Yeah, I haven't had to go into a studio in a while.
Okay, so they don't make it now for animators to be present.
It depends on the production. Sometimes they do want you in-house so that they have all of you under a team and like they can talk to you and stuff. But other times they'll just farm it out. Like, here's a scene, get it done, because they know who you are and they can trust you to get it done.
Yep.
I'm just curious how it works. I've done voiceover, so I'm just curious. And the fact that when you guys do dramas, the voiceover and the producer put all the scenes in line with the person doing the voiceover for the animation.
What was the question?
So do the animation drawings go in line with the person writing the voiceover to match?
Yeah, we get the script. Script is given to VO, then talent does their read because "Hello, how are you doing" is written one way, but the way you deliver it will determine how I'm gonna animate it.
Just curious
Yeah.
whether the drawing comes first.
No, definitely after, because your expression determines how I'm gonna act it out.
Correct.
Yeah. Because if
I know they use different actors.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 on the side, so I was curious whether they give you the voiceover person before it comes off.
Yeah, actually, storyboard artist usually gets it first. Storyboard will get it and determine the sequence, and then we'll further complement that with the acting, with animating on top of
Yeah,
that.
a lot of times it's just the script first so that you get the rough boards and then they'll get it over to the voiceover.
Actually, and that's where retakes happen, right? After a scene goes by and they do a daily and watch it, and they realize they actually want to tone it down or punch it up or something, then you have to react out the VO on that, and then we have to then reanimate the scene based on the new reaction.
Yeah, retake basically means you got to redraw everything.
Yeah. My bucket
Do it again.
list- My bucket list is to do video voiceover.
That's where the money's at. It's also the most volatile industry. The most money is also the most volatile.
Just get Morgan Freeman's voice, you're good.
Nope, don't use the word AI.
I did not say that.
Sorry.
I just said develop a voice like his.
Okay, I think we're
Raffle.
Done. So
Raffle.
raffle time. Thank you all, by the way. Let me